Hi, I'm Linda D. from the Fair Pricing Coalition, and it's 2016 at CROI. We're here for a new year, another year, to talk about Fair Pricing Coalition issues. We are AIDS and HCV activists who deal with pricing increases, pricing, initial prices from drug companies, and access programs for people with HIV and HCV. And I'm going to talk about some of our successes and non-successes for this year. Jeff is going to talk about the issues that are relevant with the copay and patient assistance programs. Murray is going to talk about some of the wild news that we've had this year with drug price increases. And David is going to speak about TAF, the new Gilead drug. So initially, let me just say that we've done a lot of work this year. The good news, I think, is that we've had a great deal of success with HCV drugs, which have been heretofore the biggest problem that we've had as far as astronomical prices that led to terrible access issues for people with HCV. So I guess essentially what's happened is the market is kind of taking care of this. We started with Gilead with these horrible prices for Sovaldi and Harvoni, and then we had AbbVie that came in with their Vicara pack that lowered the prices a bit, and Merck's new single tablet regimen, one pill regimen, just came in at a really, really very low price that we think is going to change the landscape and really make a difference for access. They're going to be working with a lot of the payers, public and private payers, to make sure that this new drug, which is great rate of efficacy for cure and low side effect profile, will be accessible to a lot more people than the drugs that are currently available. It may take a while before all this to fan out, but it is happening, and that's really good news. And we actually had a little bit to do with that, and we're very proud of that. And we'd like to thank Merck for pricing the drugs so much more reasonably, under the circumstances than what we had before. We also have had every year we do a price increase letter to the companies asking them not to go above what is the consumer price index, which is between 2 and 5%. Usually we have better luck than we did this year. They're all between 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, and it's really, when you think about when drugs are approved and how many years they're on the market and these percentages of increases year after year, it's really scary how the price just goes up and up. So we haven't had a lot of luck with that, but we've had a lot of good news with access issues, so I think I'll turn it over to my friend Jeff, let him tell you about what's new with copay and patient assistance programs.
Great. Thanks, Linda. So my name is Jeff Berry, and I work at TPAN in Chicago. It's an AIDS service organization, also editor of Positively Aware magazine. And as Linda said, we work with companies on their pricing issues. However, many of the drugs, even though we do have successes in terms of pricing, there is still a lot of costs incurred by the patient, not only those who don't have insurance, but people even with insurance. And so what we have are, we've worked really hard with the companies over the years to develop these copay and patient assistance programs. So for people with insurance who have a large copay, most of the companies now will cover both for HIV and HCV the cost of the copay. For lately, in the last few years, especially with the Affordable Care Act and increasing copays, we've seen a lot of these increased costs passed on to the consumer. And so in terms of co-insurance and deductibles, high deductibles, and so what we've done is worked with the companies to develop these copay programs, which were originally monthly caps, now have annual caps, so that if a patient has to pay all the costs up front, that they will be covered up to $6,800 a year. There are a few exceptions, and so I think with one notable exception would be Truvada for PrEP, as it's about half of that at $3,600 a year because of the Truvada for HIV is at that level, and so they need to keep them at the same level. And so we're really working and trying to see if we can get those that increase to the amount where people can now have more and better access to Truvada for PrEP, and it shouldn't be turned away in terms of cost. So we'll continue to work with them on that. I think, in terms of, if you want to find out more information and real specific details about these programs, you can go to the website at fairpricingcoalition.org. And I'll turn it over to Murray.
Thanks. So my name is Murray Penner. I'm the Executive Director at the National Alliance of State and Territorial AIDS Directors. And I think one of the really sort of more exciting things that we've dealt with this last year is a really egregious price increase of a drug called Daraprim, made by Turing Pharmaceuticals. There's a lot of back history to the actual development of the drug, but it's a really old drug. And Turing Pharmaceuticals acquired this drug and immediately raised the price 5,000%. And what that's done is it's caused this huge outcry publicly about price increases and about drug pricing. And I think what we are seeing for the first time is a lot of attention to the really high drug prices that we're all dealing with. And as both Linda and Jeff have talked about, we've been trying to work on this for a really long time with some successes and then not so many successes. And so what we are seeing now with this price increase for Daraprim is that there's now congressional hearings about drug pricing. The presidential candidates are talking about drug pricing. Now, whether or not that translates into some kind of action by Congress or within the administration that actually results in some restraint to companies and their drug pricing remains to be seen. But nonetheless, we have an opportunity to continue to make a difference on that. There's lots of ins and outs about Daraprim that we could talk about, and it's really it's a crazy story that is out there, and I'm sure just about everybody who's watching this knows about that story. But nonetheless, we've been involved in that at the Fair Pricing Coalition, and then some of our organizations have also been doing advocacy work around that particular price increase, allowing an opportunity to, again, talk about the high cost of drugs and what we need to do about that to lower the cost.
We've actually had the opportunity to work with the Senate Finance Committee too on what some of the solutions should be for drug development, pricing, and cost issues, and how the government should deal with this. Again, who knows, it might be a pipe dream, but at least we've had the ability to work with a lot of the aides at the congressional level to really hopefully make a big
and the
push
fair
on
pricing,
this.
We've been really successful in getting our messaging into the dialogue about drug pricing. So
and making sure that AIDS and HCV is, right in the forefront of all this.
Absolutely. So David, I think you're gonna.
Sure. I'm David Evans. I'm with Project Inform. Our founding director, Martin Delaney, co-founded the Fair Pricing Coalition about 17 or 18 years ago. And it was founded because in the era of the protease inhibitors, when people were literally coming back to life, one of the negative things was that with the introduction of each new drug, the price went up substantially. And not only that, but when new and improved formulations of a given drug came out, they also jumped up dramatically in price. It's relevant this year because Gilead has a drug that is a sort of new and improved version of tenofovir. It's called essentially TAF, is an acronym for it. It seems to have less of a problem with kidney and bone toxicity. We knew that TAF was coming. It is a component of several products. One was approved this last fall. And two more, including TAF, will be approved this spring. When we knew it was coming, we had a concern, which was the worry that Gilead might price it substantially higher than the existing tenofovir products. And so we asked them not to do that. One of the reasons being that it is one of the most commonly used drugs, if not the most commonly used drugs in HIV in the United States. And if the price were to be much higher and clinicians switched over to using it, the impact, particularly for public payer programs like Medicaid and ADAP, could have been devastating. And I'm very glad to say that Gilead did honor our request with the first of these TAF-based products to come out this last fall. There are 2 more coming, and we have asked for a similar price parity. And we hope that they will comply.
So stay tuned for more information about prices, price increases, hepatitis, HCV, what's happening with Congress. Hopefully we'll have some luck with the presidential candidates. And remember, you don't have to pay for your drugs completely if you have insurance. There are copay programs. Let me give you that website address again, fairpricingcoalition.org. And if you don't have insurance, there are patient assistance programs that'll pay for your drug completely. So be sure you check with that website, and don't give up and keep on pushing, because there's help to be had, and we are glad to be of assistance.